Thank you, Artemis. It was very, very interesting to hear the insights and the huge numbers that I think there is a benefit there inside these 35% of empty trucks and waiting time 2 hours. I think with these numbers, everybody can see the benefits. Sorry, Ulrika is scribbling something. Sorry. So, but now I open my iPad again. We can go forward, and I'm really happy to ask here to present eFTI Inside and navigating in the future of digital freight. Teemu Heikura, who is from Finland, from FinTraffic, and he's head of logistics, and Mohamed Olmadi, who is also from our project and also an in-group senior system architect. And Teemu has been in this field over 10 years already, and Mohamed has a little bit less experience, but still they're very valuable expert of our both expert of our project. And both of them feel that the favorite mode of transport is rail, and I agree. This is also how I feel. So please feel free. I think you need to grab another microphone. And here, okay.
Thank you. So, Mohamed, please. Okay, so thank you. So my name is Teemu Heikura, and I am here with Mohamed, like I was presented. And today, in every conference, there is one presentation which is highly technical presentation. Today we are those two nerds who are presenting the technical side of eFTI and what we are doing in our project. And we have quite a long presentation today, about 50 minutes time. So we are going first through what is eFTI, because we are going in the technical side. It's need to be explained what is eFTI and what are the technical parts. Then what is the reference implementation, what we are doing in our project. Then Mohamed will tell you more about the reference implementation in technical level. And lastly, we go through with the pilots what we are doing in our project and how to find benefits of eFTI. But first, why I'm here. So like Eva said, I am the project manager in Finland for national implementation and also leading our work package 2, which is the technical work package in our eFTI4EU project. We are leading that with France, and that's why we have the Mohamed here. Okay, so basically, eFTI. I think that you are all familiar with the eFTI basics, but because I don't know how deeply you are familiar, and before moving on to highly technical part, it's good to level the playing field where we are. So basically, if we consider about eFTI in technical part, it is only 3 layers. We have the economic operator part, where is the eFTI platform. Then we have the member state part, eFTI gate, and then the authorities who is asking the eFTI information from the gate, and which is asking it from the platform. And all the data what we have is on the platform. We only have on the gate side the minimal amount of the data. So that's the basic. And the most important part of the eFTI is the eFTI gate, which will communicate together with other eFTI gates and the platforms and find the information. So that's the crucial part of eFTI. And that's why we have this eFTI4EU project, so that we are making that eFTI gate so that it's communicating together and proving that it is working. If we are considering the eFTI gate, we can say that it's quite similar than any other software what we can build. It has 3 layers. It has yellow one, the interface layer, where we have the e-delivery interface, the mandatory e-delivery interface between the gates and for the platform. Then we have the AAP interface for authorities, and then we have the platform interface for the platform side. And of course, we have the interface, the e-delivery interface, also the platform, but there is freedom to do what kind of platform interface you want. Then we have the service layer and then the database layer. So pretty basic. As it was said in the beginning, Annika said that FT is quite simple and basic software. So it is. It's basic software. Authority side, there you have more freedom than the gate side. You can do whatever application for authorities, if what they are needing. They can use their existing softwares. You can do own service for them, as long as it fulfills the regulation. And the platform side, I'm not going deeply on the platform side because the specification is not ready yet. They are working with the DTTF and the DTLF for those platform documentation, but it allows a lot of freedom for economic operators to do any kind of solution. It can be a separate service. You can buy it on the SaaS service. It can be part of the existing TMS or ERP platform. Or you can make the distributed model where you have the one master platform which communicate to FTGate and use tributary platforms there. But specification is still under construction. It's not ready yet. So we are waiting for that one to tell more about that one. But the main part of the FT is that gates can communicate together using harmonized interface, using harmonized data. That's the main point. And that's what we are working. And remember, when you are procuring the FT and somebody is saying that we are 100% compliant with FT right now, they are lying to you. Because the specs is not ready. They cannot be 100% compliant. So remember that one. Okay, that was the basic information about FT. Now you know the basics and now you know how it's working. Now we can do more deep dive what we are doing in our project. In our project, on the technical side, we have focused on the 4 main parts. We have focused on the process, how the data is flowing there, how the process is going. We are also focusing on about data. What is the data model? What is the main data parts over there? Then interfaces, because I mentioned that we need to have standardized interfaces which can communicate together. We are also focusing on those ones. And then the reference implementation. We are building the FTGate reference implementation. Like Eva said before, you can take that, but you need to customize that. So it will help you for the implementation to start using that one and build over that one, not starting from the scratch. Of course, you can start on the scratch if you want, but this is the option. And on the data side, one big topic what we have discussed a lot is the consignment. I don't remember how many discussions we have had about this topic. What's the consignment? I think that in every data discussion we are discussing again and again what is consignment, and this is also repeating not only in our project but also in the commission discussions. And the hard part is that because FT is the multimodal, it can be one package, it can be pallet, it can be container, or it can be 50 rail wagons. So understand the context. It's the multimodal. There is a choice. Also, other topic what we have discussed a lot, what is the reference? What is the reference implementation? And basically, there is 3 layers of the reference. There is the business process model. So we are creating a graphical presentation, which is process, how the process is going. Outcome of that one is the document. I will show the example later. Then there's a reference architecture, which is showing what kind of components we have. And again, outcome document. And then there's the implementation. It's totally different. It's not anymore a document, it's working software. And there's a bunch of code, which you can find on the GitHub. But if you are expecting that it will be a document, no. Or okay, you can print it, but it's code. So, process model documentation, how the process is going, what are the decision points when it's changing from the gate, the platform side, and from the authority side. This is what our project is delivering. Also, reference architecture. I could have taken the picture of what Commission is using, but I draw it again. So there is the components, technical components, reference architecture, and then reference implementation. This is only 30 lines here. Don't expect that the actual implementation is that easy, that it's only 30 lines. It's about 3,000 lines or something. Yeah, so it's code. And before I will give the speech for Mohammed, which will talk about more about the reference implementation, what we have there. So basically, what is the reference implementation and what's not? The major thing and the first thing is that it's one of our project deliverables. We have to do it, and we have to do it as an open source. Reference implementation, it's following the regulation. We can do some extra implementation there. We can do modification, but those modifications are not anymore part of the reference implementation. We are not calling it then as a reference implementation. It can be some other term naming, but the reference implementation, it's following the regulation, and it's functional. But it's the reference implementation, it's not a national implementation. Remember that it's only a reference. When you are taking it in use, you have to adapt it. You have to build your national modification for that one. It's a basic implementation. It is not following the Germany specification. It's not following the France specification or using the Finland specification. It's only one implementation, and you have to check what kind of requirements your member state is setting for, and you have to adapt it. So basically you can say it is almost ready to use in production, but not near there. But now, for the highly technical part from the Mohammed.
Hello, everybody. Happy to see you there in person for someone, and to meet new people here. So I'm Mohammed Unmadi. I'm system architect. So I have no long experience in transport, but my experience is more in systems architecture. I am from the IEN group, so for national printing, Imprimerie Nationale from France. So IEN group is a private company owned by, completely owned by the French government. We are providing a lot of things, mainly related to trust, identity, so identifying people and objects and organization. So we are part of this project from the beginning, and we are mandated by the Ministry of Transport to implement and deploy the eFTI gate. So the idea here is not to bother you with a lot of technical aspects, but to give you, in overview, how this reference implementation is organized, what is happening under the hood, and how is complex and also interesting is. So there will be two major versions. Most of features will be delivered in the 0.5 release. It could be come by the end of this year, and the rest of features will come next year. So, as you can see, even if the principle of the eFTI gate is pretty simple, under the hood there are a lot of components. Some in the middle are related to the core of the gate, how to manage the APIs, the different interfaces for other gates, for authorities, and for platforms. We have the registry of identifiers, search mechanism, and the request handler to manage asynchronous communication with the authorities. And along that, we have a lot of other components. So some of these components are databases, authentication server, message broker for communication. And then on the other side, we have the e-delivery component, which come with its own components, with the database system, with the communication, with the broker. So we have a lot of components to manage to make this gate working. So I will talk quickly about the e-delivery because it adds some complexity to the project. So it ensures a lot of features. And the systems communicating via e-delivery will not communicate directly between them, but use the four-corner model to communicate. The gate will send the request to its e-delivery access point, which will communicate to the other gate's access point, which will transfer the request to the other gate. So this will add some other complexity to the architecture of the gate. So here, an example, just a part of a request trip, starting from the official, sending a request, and the information, dataset information, coming back to the official. So you can see that the request will make a lot of jumps between different systems to go to the other, for example here, a search request to reach the next gate. And another important part of the trip is hidden here when the request reach the other gates. So this is a pretty complex trip to handle, and for each step you can have a lot of errors and different use cases, and we need to handle all of that. So how it works? So the reference implementation is developed by a growing team. So as the different member states have different roadmaps, so in the beginning, we were just 2 member states of France with Finland, and we are happy to see that other member states are joining the team from Estonia, from Germany, from Austria, and we are looking forward to start concretely working with them. Most of decisions are taken in the reference implementation group, so the TG5 group. We have a weekly basis meeting, so if you are interested, this is the right group to join. We are taking inputs from the other groups, so from the TG1 for the architecture group, for the data and the interfaces group, and compiling all that to make the reference implementation compliant with all regulation and specification made by the other groups. Concretely, for day-to-day working, we have a lot of collaborative works. So we have a dedicated JIRA for task management and a Confluence project for where the specifications are written and where discussion are sometimes also kept here. We have a Slack channel for communication and also for day-to-day communication between developers. We have a test management system managed mainly by Christophe from France as well. And we have a Git repository which is already available. So all the code is here. And besides the code, we are doing automatic unit testing and code review and a lot of technical things here. So to ensure the quality of the gate, the reference implementation, a lot of tests are in place. So it is a basic process starting from gathering requirements to test and notify bugs and correct them and reporting and all of classical process to do testing. So the requirements are the output of defined use cases and also from the regulation analysis because we need to be conform with the regulation. And what is tested is the reference implementation and the implementation issued by the other member states. So, so far, we have the master test plan drafted and a test management system, which is the Jira X-Ray, already in place. For testing, we have two, for cross-border testing, so the test between different member states and different gates are following two approaches. So the bottom-up approach is more technical. So we are testing low-level code. So this is unit testing made automatically in GitHub. And we have manual testing for integration and end-to-end testing. Following the top-down approach, it is for non-functional and functional testing. So we have the performance testing to see that the reference implementation is compliant with the predefined SLA, and the security is in place. For business, so this is more end-user tests. We have the acceptance testing and use case testing. So we test first event is planned next month in Estonia between Finland, France, and Estonia to test the reference implementation and meet foreign developers together in a single place. So this is about testing. Now, what has been done so far? So we have a source code already available in GitHub in a draft version. So we didn't already release anything. So it's under work. We have a source code for the gate. We have a delivery connector to communicate under a delivery. We have the registry of identifiers, a basic logger system, and the platform simulation for the tests. We already have a deployment environment allowing you to deploy the gate and test and play with the gate locally in your machine, and also deploy Domibus for a delivery communication. We also have data model in XSD schema. We have Swagger, we have Postman collection. So a lot of things are available in this GitHub repository, and we are trying to make it the source of the truth for lot of components. So during the development, what was challenging? So we have from management point of view, we have the coordination between different teams, different developers, different member states. We have the task group dependency. We cannot all be in all the groups, so sometimes we need the output of some groups to use it in the reference implementation, mainly the architecture group, the data model group, and the interface group. We also have the challenge about the specification, which is not yet completely defined, so some modifications are made to this specification, and adapting the source code to that could be time-consuming at some times. And also, it is not always easy to find time to do all those tasks. From the development point of view, one of the challenging aspects is e-delivery because of a lot of aspects. So the documentation sometimes it's hard to follow. The architecture is pretty outdated, so new developers have some trouble to follow the philosophy of DMVs and e-delivery in general. Also, e-delivery comes from a lot of components which need to be integrated in the gate. Also, one important challenging aspect is the distributed architecture of the gate. So the competent authorities and the platforms will communicate only with national gates, and cross-border communication should be made between the foreign gates. So this is a distributed system, a very challenging aspect to handle, both from the architecture point of view and for the development point of view. Also, we need to balance from reference implementation and the national implementation work, because as Timo said before, the reference implementation is not intended to be directly used by member state. A lot of things are here, but you need some adaptation, and our developers need each time to manage and adapt the modification made to reference implementation to their respective national implementation. And also we have to manage the asynchronous communication mode, which leads to a lot of technical challenge and complication. So I just would like to end by this more positive touch to say that beside the complexity, beside all the challenges, we enjoyed the work. So we have a really great and competent team in all areas, so in transport, in architecture, in management, in development. So sharing this knowledge and expertise is very, very valuable, and we did a very interesting work together, and we have already some achievements. So the 0.5 release is coming soon, and yeah, so just join us and you will surely enjoy the adventure. Yeah, so I will give back the phone to Timo to get to the last of.
So, last topic of our presentation is the pilots. What kind of pilots we are doing in our eFTI4EU project? Basically, we are doing 4 types of pilots. Interoperability pilots, cross-border pilots, data pilots, and national pilots, where we can find the value, how eFTI can bring value at international level. And all the pilots, when we are doing that, we are finding and trying to show the value of eFTI, how it is working together with other things in the logistics, how it's working alongside with the supply chain, and what's the real value of eFTI, why companies want to use it, I use the word want, but I think that we have to a little bit push them to use it. I hope that it's more willing to use it than that we are pushing them to use. But let's see. But how we are managing these pilots? When we start to plan pilots, this is the thing what we realized in the beginning of the project. eFTI is only one part of the whole logistics puzzle. It's only one small part there, and we need to integrate it. We need to get the data in use. If we are building a separate solution where eFTI is only one part and eFTI is not used anywhere else, it's not bringing that value. But when you are integrating it with another software systems in the logistics, example the real-time economy, which I will explain shortly, then we can create efficiently harmonizing trust for the logistics networks. And now I have 3 pilot examples. I will go those through. And one pilot, what we are thinking is that when we realize that eFTI is only one part, so what are the other parts in the supply chain? The whole process will start in the ordering, maybe somewhere in the manufacturing phase, but now we will start only on the ordering phase. Most of the eFTI information is already in the order. So the order information in the order, we have to get it to eFTI so that the companies don't have to fill it twice. And then after the transportation, then there's an invoicing phase. And quite often they need waybills for the invoicing to checking that the invoice is correct. So why we are not providing the eFTI information for them so that they can check the invoice. And then in the future for also the digital product passports. So understand where eFTI is, that it is only one part. And example in Finland, we are now doing a pilot where we try to integrate eFTI with our real-time economy project, where they are digitalizing the ordering and invoicing with the PEPPOL network. So that's one type of pilot, real example of what type of pilots we are doing. Second type of pilot is the understanding the interoperability with the other standards. Okay, ECMR, it's quite natural. Then also the one record from the IATA and the EMSV, and especially transport manifest or cargo manifest document on the EMSV side. How it can interlink with those, how they can use the same information, fill it in once, how they can share that information. Of course, regulation is setting out some limit for us that what we are delivering for authorities, you cannot share it by law, but you can use it voluntarily. Try to find the benefit for companies so that they want to use that eFTI and want to share the information. And that's also another type of pilot what we are doing. And then the third and most obvious is that we have to check the whole chain, how the eFTI is working, how the platforms are working, how they are communicating with the eFTI gate, how the authorities are getting the information. So how eFTI is working in the practice. And Estonia has already made some early pilot with this one, and because there is the Estonian police today telling about the insight, I think that they will tell more about this one, so I'm not stopping here so long. But these are 3 types of pilot examples what we are right now doing. These are not the only ones. We are doing a lot of more piloting in our project, and maybe next year we can have many presentations about pilots and what we have learned about those. But at this point, that is our presentation about the eFTI, where we are in our project right now and what we are doing. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, I have a voice. It was I'm not a technical guy, but even for me it was interesting to see. And I wanted to ask if anybody from the audience have any questions, because we have time for questions. Yes, there is one. Oh, sorry, I will bring you.
I have a very loud voice, but okay. Hello, good morning. Hans Lip, representing Transfollow. We are an ECMR provider, amongst other things. Thank you very much for your very interesting presentation. It provides good insights where we stand and what the technical capabilities so far are. I have a question related to the release 0.9, which I found was the most interesting slide, because there I think we will qualify as an eFTI platform in the future. You said in the release 0.9, it is expected that the API will become available for platforms to integrate with the eFTI gate. If that understanding is correct, will that also mean that all the documentation needed to make that API connection becomes available in December 2025? Or will that be released sooner? And I'm asking this question on behalf of also my colleagues. Working as an eFTI platform, we need to schedule time to integrate this stuff in our software to make it available for our customers. So we are more or less looking to when can we expect these technical details that you correctly mentioned are not available yet. Thank you.
Okay. It will come at the latest then, but remember, because you have the freedom in the REST API side to do a national implementation, so the REST API implementation on the reference side is only one implementation of the REST API. And it can vary that in Germany they can build their own REST API interface if they want, so it doesn't need to be the same. So yes, you can use it, but you have to also ask from your member state what kind of API they will build, or will they build it at all.
Yes, good morning still, I guess. Jaco Voorspui, independent logistics consultant. Most of you that do know me from my GS1 standardization past, but that's not what I'm going to ask about. First question is, will these presentations be available after this session sometime soon? And I'll have a second question as well. But you can answer in a second if you don't mind. So my main question is about your sort of, well, almost inaudible comment around the use of PEPL in your Finnish pilot. A lot of you people already know that I've been quite vocal also around PEPL in relation to eFTI. Maybe you could expand a little bit on that for my benefit, so I understand what it is that you are contemplating and or exactly doing already.
Okay, the first question Eva can answer for that one.
Yes, I will take that one. Yes, all the representations and also the video will be in YouTube. We will probably cut it into pieces and send all this information to every participant, so you can relax and watch them at home on your couch. Thanks.
And then the second question. Basically, we are quite early phases on that work, because we have in Finland the real economy where the ordering and invoicing is in the PEPL format, and we have the eFTI coming. Maybe someday it's also mandatory. We are trying to find how these data models are linking together, how it will be for companies as easy as possible to provide the information for real-time economy side and also for eFTI side. Maybe one result is that it is already quite easy to implement it, or maybe we can do some reference implementation how order is from the PEPL is going to the eFTI format and back to the invoice format. So we are trying to solve that. What is the most beneficial there for companies, how we can do it as interoperability as possible. But we are still quite early phases on the data mapping side.
We have had one question also online, and the question is that will there be any integration in railways also regarding this? I assume maybe about pilots probably, or because eFTI is not only road transport, it's all transport modes.
I don't remember by heart who is doing the railway pilot, but I think that there was on our roadmap that we are doing also piloting on the railway side.
We have one more.
Hi, Brian Palmer, Amazon. Great presentation. Thanks so much for diving in. The timelines, do you face any risks or dependencies there? Especially you mentioned the work going on with the Commission and DTLF. Do you see that impacting delivery to that schedule?
We know that there will be some changes, but the changes what we are expecting on the gate side are not that major. So there will be minor changes, and I think that we can handle those inside our project timeline.
Thank you. Do we have any more questions? Of course, you can use coffee breaks. And I think, thank you. Big round of applause. Sorry. Okay, oh, sorry. Online is a little bit delayed. One question is eFTI on time in relation to EVOA regulation 2025-03? I think maybe it's related to maybe waste shipment, could be. Does anybody in the audience know this?
I cannot comment about that one.
And the other question, maybe a little bit easier one, is will eFTI platforms communicate with each other?
There is freedom, what we currently know.
Yeah.
They can communicate with together, or they don't have to communicate. So what we know currently is that there's a lot of freedom from the platform side, but as I said earlier, those specifications are still under construction, and there are quite a lot of discussion with those. So let's see, we will wait those.
Of course, maybe I can add that eFTI regulation is not making rules P2P connections. It's more like from government to business. But of course, as Teemu said, that nothing is stopping them to communicate with each other. And I think that where the benefit lies also for the businesses probably. So they will do. Leah, do you want to comment? Yeah. Okay.
Indeed, maybe I can add that as far as we're looking at it right now, we certainly will not impose an obligations on the platforms to communicate, but certainly it is going to be about the freedom. So our aim is to allow actually the platforms to communicate with each other, because that's the whole point of interoperability on the business side, and that's where it is coming from. So we'll set the requirements that will allow them to communicate, and to communicate that in a way that is seamless, as we like to say, right? Because we're going to set standards that they will all need to comply with, and that will facilitate communication. But again, we're not obliged them right now the way we're looking at it, but we aim to facilitate this communication. I think this is very, very important. I mean, that's where we think it will become, as I said, the added value for the businesses from these standards that we're going to set. And on that other regulation, I think we will look into it, because I'm afraid, even if I'm working for the Commission, the EVOA regulation, I'm afraid I'm not aware of it, but we'll check it out. Try to see if we can come up with an answer later. Thank you.
Thank you, Leah. And I think now we ran out of questions at the moment. So thank you once again.